Well, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to Sydney Motorsport Park. My name's Aaron Noon. Thank you so much for being with us here in person at Sydney Motorsport Park for the launch of S5000. This is a really exciting day. To our viewers watching on the live stream in Australia, New Zealand and around the world, a big welcome to you all for this momentous occasion in Australian motor racing history. We have a jam-packed room of people here. In fact, we've got them squeezing almost out back underneath the roller door here. This is a really, really exciting day. There's been much said, there's been much written about this category in the last months and years, but right behind me is the car under the covers. We will take the covers off very, very shortly. This is not, as some would have suspected, a reborn Formula 5000. This is a new category, obviously carrying some of the inspiration from the glory days of Australian open-wheeler racing. This is about making a category that is the best open-wheeler category that Australia can create, and there's more of that we'll touch on with some special guests who are with us very shortly. But speaking of special guests, I'd like to invite forward two legends of Australian motorsport and open-wheeler racing, Warwick Brown, who I'm so thrilled to see here, and John Bowe, former Australian Drivers' Champ, to step forward, because after all, today's all about seeing the car, the S5000 car for the new season and new series. And I'll step out of the way. We'll just roll a video here before we take the covers off. Let's show it off, gents. Let's have a look at this new S5000 race car. Australia's newest open-wheel racer. And there it is. Thank you, gentlemen. Warwick, thank you so much. Great to see you here. I'll get John to stay with us wherever he's disappeared around the other side. We're joined by some very special guests I'd like to invite forward. I might steal your spot there. Fine, JB. Eugene Rocca from CAMS is with us today. Matt Braid is with us also from ARG, and also Chris Lambden, the category manager of S5000 too. Please join us up here to have a further discussion point. Please welcome the gentlemen today. Today's not only the official launch of the S5000 car, but it is also the first chance that we will publicly get to see this car behind us here on the track. It is about to roll out here at Sydney Motorsport Park very, very shortly. We'll continue our live stream so you're able to see the car, hear the car in action. We'll be bolting Tim Macro, the driver, in very, very shortly. But I might start with you, JB, because you're nearest and dearest to be here, quite literally. Right. As a long-time single-seater man, you've got to be thrilled to see this category come to fruition.
Absolutely. I think this is the most exciting thing to happen to single-seater racing in Australia since 1981. So that's quite a long time ago. That's when we adopted Formula Atlantic, which was quite successful for a few years, but nothing really compared to the 5000s of the, Warwick Brown era, and I raced at the tail end of it in the late 70s, so I think this is awesome, mate, honestly, and to the people that made it happen, it's been a very large undertaking, so I think it's great.
Matt Braid from ARG Australian Racing Group. This is a really exciting day, not just for everyone in the room, but for everyone who's been involved in this.
Yeah, it is, Aaron. I think, look, it's taken a few years, lots of hard work by a lot of people, a lot of supporters too, but we're very proud to obviously show Car 1 today. As John said, Australia is a very passionate motorsport nation, so we deserve a premier open wheel class, and we're really, all of us, really proud to present it here today. And it's not just for Australia, we already have international interest in the car, and when you look at what's available on the world market, outside of Formula 1, Formula 2 and IndyCar, this is the next most powerful open wheel you can get, so it's going to be a spectacular series and championship.
Eugene Rocca, the CEO of CAMS, is with us today. I know there's a lot of media in the room, Eugene, who will have lots and lots of questions about this category and this car. I'm going to preempt them on one of them that they will all ask about is the future of the Gold Star. We haven't seen it awarded for a few years. It's a prestigious award. John's a former winner of it. What's the state of play? Could that return for S5000 in the future?
Look, I think the reason we retired, I don't want to use the word retired, but we parked it was because there wasn't an open-wheeler category that we felt was deserving of a Gold Star, given the pedigree of the people who've won it in the past. And so I think the CAMS board, and it's not my decision, it's a CAMS board decision, would be thrilled at the opportunity to bring the Gold Star back to life. And right now, this is the only category that I can imagine would be fitting for the Gold Star. So I can't make that decision, and obviously the next few months may dictate that, but I think the Gold Star's got to come back, and this seems like a good fit.
We look forward to it. Great to have you here, Eugene. Chris Lamden, you've been heavily involved in Australian motorsport for a very long time in a range of roles. You've been there all the way through this whole project for you as the category manager of S5000, involved in the various iterations on the lead-in. This must be a very special day for you to have this car physically here as well.
Well, yes, absolutely. And look, it's here, I think, due to the efforts of a couple of groups of people. And the first is the people behind the formation of ARG. You know, their support, resources and everything is just made it possible to get to this point. But the other group, which I'd really like to acknowledge, and sometimes we tend to look overseas and the overseas expert syndrome, but the level of Australian engineering and design that's gone into this car is just fantastic. You know, from Michael Borland, who's overseeing the engineering, to Hollinger, whose adaptation of their gearbox is fantastic. Roger Hickens, our engine man's here. He's adapted the Coyote engine to suit and got Motec, and you know, there are some smart people in Australia, and it's their combined efforts that have led to this, and I'm really thankful for them and very proud of what they've done.
Congratulations again, Chris, for all your efforts and everyone involved. Gents, thank you for your time. I'll get you to take a seat again, because the great part of this live stream today is we are going to put this car out on the track here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So when you've got a car, you need to put the shutters up and you need to put a driver in the car as well. So Tim Macro is going to step in, a long-time open-wheeler driver who's been heavily involved in the development of this program, and Michael Borland's with him, who's a long-time single-seater Australian operator of cars and teams. He's going to bolt him in. So you're going to get the first chance to see this car on the track. So I'll invite our live stream viewers to head out, and you'll hear and see some of the sights. And all our guests here in the room will also be able to head out and have a look and see as Tim turns the first official laps in this S5000 race car around the Sydney Motorsport Park venue today. It's so great to see so many really familiar faces here in terms of legends of open-wheeler racing, interested onlookers, prospective entrants and young drivers who are looking to this category to the future. And thank you to our media today who've come along to support. So the roller door is up. We're just bolting Tim in. We had a little practice run at this earlier in the day. And it's just a case of getting him comfortable. You'll notice too that this car, the S5000, will be the first to run the FIA-approved Halo system in open-wheeler racing in Australia. So that's a significant feature of this car. As Chris mentioned, the V8 Ford Coyote engine and a lot of Australian engineering know-how has gone into putting this together with local suppliers and creating what is a category that Australia can be very proud of, but one that has worldwide relevance. So I'd invite the rest of the guests in our room to head out into the pit lane as Tim and the team fire this car up. We will roll it out, so we might get those photographers to stand back in 30 or 40 seconds' time. And this is a bit of a moment in history to get this car to roll on out for its first laps. It will be turning more laps this afternoon, but for our live stream viewers, this is a chance for you to see something very special and something that's had a lot of work from a lot of people put into it. So a chance to roll on out now and hear that great sound of a V8 in the back of an open wheeler. I think now's the time for a round of applause too before we get this car fired up. Thank you everyone for coming along. This is a great day in Australian motorsport. Well, it's certainly one way to make quite an impression on entering the venue here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So while Tim Macro is heading around the circuit, there's plenty of interested onlookers here who are quite keen to see this car and to see what's going on. They all ran away from me here, but I did see Warwick Brown was floating around. We'll see how far we can travel as Tim heads around on this outlap to take in things Beautiful day for this launch, by the way. We've got an absolutely stunning day here at Sydney Motorsport Park. In fact, I might just dive in here. We did get him to unveil the car, but I might dive in here. It's a bit of a chit-chat going on here. I always hate to break these things up, but I might grab Warwick. Thank you for your efforts, Warwick Brown. We're here on the live stream, so be behaving. Don't do anything terrible. Hey, this is a very special day. You're an open wheeler man from way back. This is fantastic.
I haven't felt this excited since I was about 20.
What do you think this category can be for Australia and the world?
I think it could be anything. I think this has the...
We need to see this. That sounds good to me.
I believe that this whole concept that Chris and the other people with CAMs and have the wisdom to put together has the definite potential to put Australian motor racing at the forefront of the map. These cars will be exciting. They'll race each other, really race each other. And I think that if we're going to have a CAMS Gold Star involved in it and maybe keep our fingers crossed, Tasman Series, we could have the great days that we used to have back in the 70s and the 80s.
When you hear that rumble of a V8 out the back here at the creek, does it take you back to those glory days of the 70s?
It gives me regrets. I want to be that age again. I'd love to put my bum in that car,
Great to see you here. Warwick Brown is a legend of Australian motorsport. So special to have him here with us. Have a look at these people straight up onto the pit wall. They want to see, they want to hear, they want to feel this S5000 car. There's a range of interested onlookers. Gary Rogers is here, supercar team owner. Brad Jones is here as well. Let's have a look again as this car comes by. That's certainly got everyone's attention. I might grab this guy over here too, because our camera won't go all the way here. But Andre Heimgartner, come on over here, my friend. Oh, suddenly you've grown, yeah. Borrow down for me. Nissan factory driver in supercar racing this year. Going to have a steer of this thing a little later on. What are your expectations?
I'm not sure. I've driven a few different things like LMP3 cars, but talking to Timmy, it's a bit different.
What's the idea for you having a steer today? Could we see you have a go at one of these in the future?
Oh, you never know, but always up for driving something different and sort of better than sitting on the couch. And obviously it's an amazing project that they've put together, and it's something that my generation's missed out on. And, big horsepower, big open wheelers, so keen to give it a go.
Kiwis are winning all the stuff here in Australia at the moment, so we won't want you going too well if you do come and join us. Great to see him here, Andre Heimgartner, the Nissan supercar factory driver. There's a range of interesting people here around today. I'm not going to be able to get them off the fence because they're loving seeing this car floating around. Have a look at it go by again. Not bad. Hey, tell you who's also here, Bathurst 1000 winner from last year, Luke Yulden. Oh, sorry, Sonny's off. Hey, you're going to get a steer of this today too. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I can't wait, but just by seeing it come down here, the sound is awesome. So really, really looking forward to it. Haven't had too much experience in open wheelers with this much horsepower, so I can't wait.
I was going to say, when I think back to Formula 4 days, you were the national champion in that category, but you didn't do Formula Holden from memory, so this is a step up from anything open wheeler you've done before.
Yeah, and what really excites me is every time you talk about Formula 5000 with Dad and that era, they loved it, yeah, and we missed out on it. I wasn't even born then, you know what I mean? So it'd be good to experience it for myself.
Look forward to seeing behind the wheel Luke Yulden, of course, driving with Erebus in the supercars the last few years. He's been the man who's looked after David Reynolds because someone has to, after all. It's a job. Tim Racco's turned 3 laps already here at Sydney Motorsport Park. The way he's going, we might have to really grab him and get him to come back to the pit lane because he's enjoying it that much. In fact, he's pitting this time by, so we might show you as he heads on in here and rolls on in. We might even see if we can get his instant reaction when he peels on in. And as we mentioned before, this is a Ford Coyote V8 engine. It's a Hollinger Australian-produced gearbox. Great to have so many of you joining us on our live stream coverage here from Sydney Motorsport Park as the S5000 makes its public debut, and it has turned its first 3 laps of Sydney Motorsport Park to a great turnout here of guests and legends like. I might stick my head in here and have a chat if I can for 2 seconds. Might just dive in here and have a quick chat. Tim Macro's the man entrusted with the wheel of this car. 3 laps, that looked like fun. It sounded like it.
Mate, this car is so much fun. It's an absolute buzz to drive. It's fast. It's going to move around a little bit. It's going to make the driver work. We should be able to race each other too. So there's nothing that this car won't or shouldn't do.
Tell me what it feels like. Normally you've driven open wheels in the past. They don't make a noise like that. This one makes a good noise.
This thing, as designed, is going to get the crowd going. Like, it sounds awesome. That's only one car out there at the moment, and how good does it sound? Imagine 15, 20 cars on the grid. It's going to be awesome. And like, when you get your foot on the accelerator coming out of the hairpin out of there, you just hear the thing screaming behind you. There's nothing better.
We've got a range of drivers who are lined up keen to have a run in this car. I've got a funny feeling it's going to be hard to wedge you out of this thing, though. You look pretty set in there.
Yeah, they're going to have to wait a while, I reckon. They're going to have to try and cut me out of the thing.
We make sure that Tim Macro lets some other people have a run this afternoon. So thank you very much to all our guests and everyone for coming along for this great occasion in the S5000 car, making its on-track public debut here at Sydney Motorsport Park today. To those who've been watching on the live stream, thank you so much for joining us today for this fantastic day in Australian motorsport and open wheeler racing history. We hope to see you soon. What a fantastic car. It's great to get this underway.